All right. Well, I look like I am live for what seems to be turning into my first solo Paintisode. Uh, not terribly well named, as I'm calling it number two for Paintisodes with Mittierim Pals, but I guess I don't have a lot of pals at the moment. Um, but I did leave an open invite on the Warhammer YouTuber site, so if anybody feels like getting on and chatting with me for a little bit and just getting some stuff painted, feel free to join in. Um, for those few who are not aware of what a Paintisode is, it's just an opportunity to have folks get together, watch a video, do a little painting of their own, and have the sultry sounds of my voice accompanying them to whatever artistic joys they're going to get out of this. Um, I haven't done one of these by myself before, so hopefully either we'll get some guests, some other folks who might want to chat along with us, or folks with some suggestions as to some topics as we go, or who knows, maybe I'll be able to entertain you in my own uh, fashion. So I guess I'll start with what I'm working on today. I'm still working on my Warriors of Chaos of Tzeentch. They're pretty simple. Uh, Pretty simple to do because I can't really do anything fancy with my skill level because they all came to me with shields already glued, and it really makes it kind of a pain in the tail to get a whole lot of color behind that and make it not look terrible. So I'm going with kind of some black lacquered armor and enough other details on it to make the whole thing good, or at least I hope it's going to make the whole thing good. Um, as far as generalized things I wanted to chat about, one thing that kind of popped up in several, well, I don't know if I'd say several, but a couple of videos today is a little bit of grumbling regarding the 50% uh, Lords and Heroes rule, and maybe it might be fair to say that there is a definite sense of pessimism that I've noticed. It started this morning with Nick from Long Island Wargaming. He posted a battle that he and a buddy of his did with the new rules, and well, they just went dirty on their lists. I know Nick basically was playing Warriors of Chaos. He had like double demon prints plus basically a demon prince factory. His buddy was playing vamp counts and went with cavalry bus craziness and multiple blender lords and I mean just the kind of crazy insanity that you would expect from folks just saying everything goes and throwing down. So there is definitely, I think he commented several times at how he really wasn't happy about the way the rules were going and was generally pretty negative about it. And then MC1 Gamer responded with a basically chill dude, the world's not over sort of thing. And I kind of wanted to talk a little bit. Oh, looks like I do have some pals tonight. Dark CT, Skip, how you guys doing?
How hey.
Fearing all right. How about you lot?
Not too bad. I'm trying to desperately to get some painting done in the like one day this week that I'm gonna get a time to do so. But I don't know if you guys heard what I was talking about, but I'm kind of getting into a little bit of a response to Long Island Wargaming, and he's not the only one that expressed sort of this negativity about the 50% Lords and Heroes thing. But I kind of wanted to just chat about it for a little bit. Excuse me. One of the things that I like about this setup with the 50 is that it gives you the opportunity, without having to play ridiculously high level, point level games, to get in some options that you wouldn't necessarily be able to get in. Like the Lords on Dragons or on the big the big mounts, or for my ogres it actually lets me equip the Tyrant and the Slaughtermaster that I'm bringing, so I don't have to rely on just mundane equipment. So I definitely think that there's some fun to be had there. And admittedly, when you introduce that, you do open the door for the craziness of double demon princes or triple demon princes, however stupid you want to go with it. And just the really abusive stuff. But kind of the way I kind of responded to this on MC1 Gamer's response video was, once a douchebag, always a douchebag. And I kind of got some heat from him for it, and I want to explain a little bit more of what I'm thinking when I say that. Basically, yes, having new options is always going to open up the opportunity for some crazy combo that's just going to, like, jump up and down on and urinate on your hobby. But I'm of the opinion that the guys who were going to do that sort of thing are the ones who are already doing it, just to a different scale right now. And yeah, it gives them another couple of ways of doing it, but ultimately what is being done isn't really changing by those people, it's just how. And MC1 Gamer kind of called me out on this, saying that he felt that it gave the impression that I have of a negative opinion of all tournament gamers and things like that, which I think is putting a few words in my mouth, because that was not the intent. But I mentioned one thing that I feel fine in calling a douchebag a douchebag. And I think ultimately the difference is douchebag behavior starts when you stop caring about your opponent having a good time. And his response was, oh, well, that doesn't happen in tournaments because people are focused on being competitive, whatever. I think that there are plenty of ways to be competitive but still be interested in your opponent's good time. Example I want to give is the tournament I went to back in the first quarter of the year. My second game, and there's a battle report on it, I was playing my ogres against just about the dirtiest, ugliest Warriors of Chaos army that you could imagine. I mean, this was the same army that the fella ended up turning around 6 months later and winning Brawler Bash with. This is some guy. Now, yes, he was super duper competitive. He kicked my teeth in. I really didn't have much of a chance. But I ultimately feel like the impression that I got, even as dirty as this list was going to be, is that the player did care that I was having a good time or not. And a lot of it has to do not necessarily with, I mean, your army list and stuff like that can come into it, but I think it just has to do with how you treat the person at the other end of the table. And there are ways to to play competitively and even to play with shit kicker lists without necessarily becoming a douchebag. And maybe I'm making an artificial distinction, and folks can call me on that if I am. But that's kind of what I differentiate between a competitive player and a douchebag player. So I know I've been. If you guys have any thoughts on that? I'd be interested to hear them.
Well, if you look at it, there's a fine line between competitiveness and douchebaggery. You know, it's really good if you want to be competitive, and I'm here to win. I spent money to come to this tournament. I drove X amount of hours to get here, so I'd like to place well. But then again, you have to look at across the table. That same person has done the exact same thing. It has spent time painting their miniatures. They have driven X amount of hours to get there. They paid to get in. So I would think that I would want to be treated the way that I treat people. And if I'm there as a competitor, that's fine. I want to win. That's great. But if I don't, I at least want to say, hey, I had a good opponent. We had a great time. This is a great hobby. And in some ways, there are a lot of people out there who don't give a crap. In fact, when we first started Warhammer in our little group, I had made the comment that up in Virginia before I moved down here, I would never, ever, ever get into Warhammer because the only people that were up there were douchebags. All they cared about was putting together the biggest list, not teaching the person how to play, just saying, oh, here's what you do, here's what you do, oh, you suck, get off the table. And that's why I never got into it until I got actually down here and actually got around a group of people who actually wanted to have fun and would take the time to teach me. Mm-hmm. That's my 2 cents worth on it.
Now, I will have to say, one of the other points I made, I think it was on MC Gamer's response. I was responding to several of these today. In sort of the no, I don't hate competitive players line, I don't think that there is, or more to the point, I think douchebaggery is equally accessible from the competitive player as it is the narrative player, or the non-competitive whoever. I mean, we had one of our first players in our group was, calling a spade, he was a douchebag high elf player. He did nothing but bring the hardest, shit-kickingest lists, and really, and beyond that, then proceeded to rules lawyer the shit out of every interaction.
Mm-hmm. Why do I always enter in when you're talking crap about high elves? I feel like it's destiny.
Well, we're not talking about crap about high elves specifically. We're talking about, our topic so far for the night is douchebag gamers. And sort of how to react to the people who come and spit on your hobby by bringing douchebaggery, and if that is exacerbated by the new 50% Lords and Heroes rules.
For me, I've always played with a lot of douchebags. The last two people in my gamer group that I played with the most, I used to lift with them, which probably wasn't a good place to find people to play Warhammer with. But they popped testosterone steroids, so they were asses. Like, it would be one of those things you would kill off 2 people with a can. No, that shouldn't be that. It should be one person. And, like, to the point, when they played each other, they would be threatening, almost punching each other over the table. And to be honest, I would say about 70% of my games have been that way.
This is why it's no fun to talk to you. No matter what topic I bring in, you always come up with well, you think you got it bad. My people are knifing each other at the tables.
Yeah, I have a knife for some reason. I'm opening this. That's why I have a knife, I swear.
So, getting back to the point I was making regarding this particular first player, I think that attitude and that play style would be present in someone like that regardless if they had 10% lords, 25% lords, 75% lords. I don't think that it's specifically the rule that changes that type of player or play style. And MC1 Gamer sort of differentiated, and maybe this is a fair differentiation, between player and play style. In kind of the point I guess he was making is that it's fair to, fair to insult the play style, not necessarily the player. Which I guess I can get behind. Although I find it, and the way I put it to him is, sometimes when somebody is doing something to take the fun out, you need to be able to look them straight in the eye and go, dude, this is not fun. Or, as I said for short, stop being a douche.
Yeah, you know, the thing with Warhammer, it has a tendency to bring that out of certain people. And I think a lot of people's, it's kind of a, with strategy games you have this problem where people play it and they supplement their need for the competitive, like, competition. You know, for them it's the conflict that is they're enjoying, the whole war aspect and beating someone else at it. So to that point, like, that's what they like. So the competition getting intense, like, it's almost like a fight for them. So to those type of people, I could understand. I don't condone it, but I understand why they're assholes. They're just looking at the game the wrong way. It's a game. It's not like there's nothing good about fighting at all, and you shouldn't be supplementing your feelings into a freaking miniatures game like that.
Well, if you go off if you're rolling dice and numbers are involved, there are going to be min-maxers, there are going to be douchebags, no matter what game you're playing. Role-playing, wargaming, HeroClix, anything.
Yeah, I agree with that. But I think it gets exasperated by games like this, especially since you have to put so much time and money into it.
That's what I was actually going to bring up when it came around to me.
Well, go right ahead.
Yeah, well,
Well,
from what I can wager, I think you're more on the right path there, Mitt, in that once a kind of douchebaggy player always in that people will go out of their way to optimize lists, and sometimes they'll do something particularly crazy, but at the same time I argue that even if you were to go to the full line with the new lords and heroes, there are times where that's just still not gonna fly. And I think nowadays it's a lot easier it's slightly easier in design of the game to actually go up against that kind of a thing. The more you put into a couple of units, the like multiple big demon princes, the less wounds you have on the table. And I like to see those demon princes survive multiple cannon shots.
Well, I want to just clarify. I'm a little too confused because this is a very easy topic to confuse meanings. I don't pretend that folks who optimize their lists are douchebags. That's not what I'm meaning with that. No, but it's very easy once we start sort of using generalizations of you can optimize blah blah blah, and it leads to because I think that there are ways. I mean, you can optimize just about any list, but I definitely think there are certain types of lists that kind of are douchebaggy to begin with, mainly because their entire excuse me. Their entire design, if they work correctly, is to essentially take away the fun of the game from your opponent. I think the big one that pops to my mind is like the avoidance Wood Elf and Dark Elf armies. Where the whole point of it, from the way you design the list, is to say, if this list works, my opponent will do nothing but sit down and pick up his models one by one.
I have something to add on to that, too.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's not necessarily douchey until it gets to elaborate on what you're saying a bit. I feel like it's when you're skewing the rules, when you're abusing the rules to do something that shouldn't, that just completely ruins the game. Like, for example, if you have 3 Banshees and you do a freaking conga line, and no one can hit anything behind the Banshees, that's a skew of the rules, you know? You're abusing the rules at that point.
Though I have to say, the Banshee Bulldozer is kind of a fun thing to do once, just to see it happen, because it's pretty amusing. But
yeah, it's like one of those things. It's one of those things with friends. We're gonna be like, oh, that's awesome. But there's people that use that in serious tournaments and use it to great advantage. And there's been a lot of rules like that where you used to be able to shoot your wizard 12 inches by reforming them into the units and stuff. It's just abuse of the rules where it starts to become more of an asshole like pride thing.
Well, that and there are certain things like in that same tournament that we were discussing. There was one point where a charge was done, and I thought the maximization was wrong, because ultimately he charged in with a chariot and a chimera, and set it up so that against my ogres that one, like the chariot could be fought against by 2 ogres, but the chimera could only be fought against by 1, even though there was room for everybody to kind of be in there right next to each other, so I could have tossed that middle ogre at whichever one I wanted to toss it at. And it came down to, I mean, yeah, let's just agree that Games Workshop isn't the most precise in their language writing for their rules. But in my mindset, when I hear you must maximize the maximum possible number of models in combat when you make a charge, to me, that means that if you've got room to have one of your models that charges in touch 2 dudes, that's what you're kind of obligated to do by the rules. But
that's always confused me too. I've had trouble with that.
But the sort of borderline douchey messing with the rules argument was, oh, well, all 3 of those ogres are in combat, so it is optimized, even though it's not optimized. It's not maximized with everything that could be in combat. And I mean, I'm frankly not caring enough about placement in any tournament to argue that kind of rules minutiae. It's just kind of like, let it go, whatever you want to do. I'm not going to cry about it. But it was one of those things that went, wow, this went from being just kind of fun and cool to, wow, I just got lawyered on.
Yeah.
I also have to speak up by saying I'm kind of, like, I freely admit, when it comes to games like Pathfinder, I will spend hours just looking over character types, character builds, and things like that. And I guess you can argue that kind of thought process extends to this kind of game too. I spend a lot of time looking at units and how they work and things like that. So I understand the concept of going to the breaking point, but there is a certain level in there where things like things like where in your movies gets the conga line, that stuff can be a real bother. And it's really, there's a kind of, I remember someone saying something like the kind of, there's a rules as written, a rules as intended to a lot of games out there. And sometimes it's better to, for the sake of both players, just kind of, I guess, fudge the lines for the sake of both of them. For the sake of the player's enjoyment, that is. And sometimes there's just a line you just shouldn't cross for the sake of enjoying the game.
Well, and I think that goes back to what are you playing the game for? You know, and I think there's the competitive people that get that conflict aspect out of it, and that's what they want. And then you have the people that want the socialization aspect, the community aspect, and that's what they want. You have people that just like the modeling aspect and the immersion, and that's what they want. And so you get all these people together, and there's eventually going to be conflict, especially with the people that want to win at all costs. And it's really hard to delegate that. And I think us, just in general, the people that have like-minded personalities, delegate it ourselves because we end up playing with the people we are most like anyways. So unless you're in tournaments, it's not that big of a deal, but even in tournaments it happens that way too, because if you get knocked down a table, the top tables are going to be the more competitive players. Doesn't mean they're all the like douchey win at all costs type people, or they're doing it. They could be doing it for the community too, but just saying that it tends to separate itself out.
Yeah, I think I follow you on that. But I think, for me, I think the reason I got involved in this whole conversation was just, I mean, one of the things I love watching battle reports for is that sort of transfer of enthusiasm. When you are watching somebody who's enjoying their army and they're having a good time and just throwing dice and having yucks and you get in on it, there is a transfer of that energy to you, and particularly if you're in a point where you're just having a bad day or whatever, and you can get some of that, just a little bit of a reminder of, you know what, we participate in an awesome hobby, and this is cool, and that sort of thing. Like, that's a lot of what I watch battle reports for, and it was just so, and I actually called out Lord Tremendous when he did this before he burned his dice. When you get a run of a battle reporter, particularly one whom seems to enjoy the game, just kind of switch, it's almost like psychic vampirism. It's like you watch these battle reports and you want to go home and melt your models or something. And it's like,
I don't have agree. Problem. You can totally see when battle reporters are going on for so long. They start out with this fun, almost just nuance, kind of just like happy to be with the community atmosphere, right? Mm-hmm. And then as they go on, more fans are persistent about them changing their armies, and then they become more competitive, and then they become a lot more edgy about losing. And you can, like you said, it's almost like a switch. It's just like, oh man, it just happened. It's kind of funny, though, because with Malorian, it happened the other way. I feel like, anyways. But I totally know what you're saying on that.
With Tremendous, I have to argue that, sadly for me, I was kind of getting schadenfreude. I love his stuff even when he was in the down mood. Well, it's much better that he's in the up mood, though, I have to admit.
And I mean, I don't want to come across quite, and I don't know if you meant to make it sound like this, Whoopi, but I don't.
I love that guy.
Right, but I don't want to think that sort of fall to darkness and cynicism is kind of a natural progression in the game, because I don't think it is. Because frankly, the day I get like that with the kind of games we play, I want somebody to just come here and shoot me, because it's all over.
Well, I can arrange it, I suppose.
All right, dude. After the whole comment of you hiding under people's beds, discussing arranged murder is not something I'm comfortable with.
Hey. I will not do that anyway.
Speaking
it's
as
right,
a person,
the door's locked.
Hey, I'm just activating Skaven. What do you want?
What was that, Skip?
speaking as a person who loses more than they win, it does get a point where you do get a little frustrated, you know. Mm-hmm. But then you just have to sit back and realize, you know, eventually the losing you're learning, and it's going to turn into a win eventually. So what you do is every now and then, and this is what we have done, is just take a night and just do what we call the what the f list.
Yes.
You know? Where we'll
It's been a while since we've done one of those, by the way.
Yeah. And if you ever feel stressed and feel like, you know, I need to win all the time, blah, 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 just take a step back, play one of those lists, and the fun will return.
I have to do that because I have a horrid win-loss ratio so far.
It's like,
I was talking a little bit about... I'm sorry, real quick. I was talking a little bit about my interactions with just very testosterone, angry-driven players. So I had to develop a way. For the longest time, I truly felt like the hardest part of Warhammer was having fun playing fucking Warhammer. So I got to the point where I took lists that I personally thought were fun. I liked the fluff, I had the immersion aspect of it, and I'm hanging out with my friends, and if they want to be pissy, they can be pissy about something stupid. I don't really give a shit. And so I just built the Freak Army, and since I started doing those theme armies where it takes you out of that, like, makes you realize what the game is, it's a blast. It's what it's supposed to be. You can take something that's a game and play it like a game, or you can take something that's a game and play it like MMA, you know? It's just how your mind wants to play it. And it's honestly just the brain chemistry that it's unfortunate, but you're always going to have that.
Well, and then I get, and it just occurred to me that I like started calling out Nick and Lord Tremendous, and I never finished my thoughts, so they're gonna think I'm jackasses. But that's exactly sort of what I was going for. It's like you kind of where Nick is right now, where he's just like, this is not fun. I'm super worried about it, and it's really one of those situations where the longer you dwell on the, oh god, this isn't going to be fun, I've got to make this crazy busted-ass triple Demon Prince list plus BS, the more your games are going to turn into that. Whereas if you do pretty much what I'm doing and going, you know what, I've got up to 50% Lords, awesome, that means I got the points for a Chaos Lord on a Manticore, let's do this! And you take kind of the fun stuff and put some of the lightheartedness back into it.
Absolutely, and I think it can become infectious after a while. When people start realizing how you're seeing the hobby, it kind of spreads. It's almost like a virus of happiness, if you will.
A virus of happiness.
At the gaming place where I went for a little bit, it was basically the two testosterone douches and a nice guy. But since I was playing such weird lists, they're like, dude, you're just playing anti-meta. And I'm like, what? Yeah, you're just purposely trying to go against the meta. And I'm like,
yeah, okay. And so what?
Okay. I guess I'm the anti-meta. Here's a horde of freaking Marauder Horsemen. Let's play.
I'm bringing metagame into this. That's what kills me. Meta's for StarCraft, not for Warhammer. Let's just not go there right now.
Not necessarily.
Give it to us, Skip. Top that list.
Only 5 knights in a Bretonian list. The rest, peasants. There you go.
Just for the record, I thought that was one of my favorite lists of yours ever.
That was awesome.
Skip, since you're part of the PMP now, I just want you to do one model. I want you to have 2 guys next to a river, just like a lake, a puddle of mud, just hitting it with a bag or a cat, Just please have that be a filler piece, and I will respect you until the end of time.
That is awesome.
So, since we're actually we took a break to discuss painting a little bit, what is everybody working on tonight?
Dwarves.
Good. I have so much in front of me I need to do. I'm trying to delay it as much as possible.
So Whoopi's working on procrastination. What are you working on, Skip?
I'm doing dwarves. As you can see.
Dude, I'm excited to see how that goes.
Yeah.
What was it you're doing there, Skip? What's that?
I'm doing some dwarves.
Oh, that's neat. Okay.
For my pledge this month, I did something. Oh, yeah. If anyone's watching that's part of the PMP, try to get your pledges in, because tomorrow we're going to be going over them. Kieran might be there. He said he might have some family stuff or personal issues he has to take care of. But try to get it in by tomorrow by 7 p.m. And on that subject, my pledge is literally reuniforming my dwarf army that I've had since 7th grade and repainting and touching it all up. And oh my gosh, I'm going to take a picture of all the models just so you get what I'm going through at the moment. That and Magneto. So I got the and then I have the labor.
Alicia and I were discussing that. Is that actually a Magneto miniature, or did you make that out of some shit?
Oh no, that I truly found it and bought Magneto. I set him up to be my lord on a disc because he's actually floating on a bunch of metal.
I
And,
told you.
I'm
Okay.
setting it up. I bought really thin wire, and I'm kind of hiding it with the terrain that I put around him. So it looks like there's like a vortex of like swords and stuff going around him. I'm really excited about it. It's the first time I've actually invested into a model like it. Just I don't know, put your whole self into it. So I'm looking forward to that.
So, speaking of putting yourself into, let's ask everybody else. So I know Dark CT, you're not really doing the paint thing. What you working on, Alicia?
Well, I just finished putting together the other 5 cold ones, so I can prime them and work on them tomorrow. And now I'm going to finish this banner for the cold ones, and then hopefully I'll finish this freaking mirror, because I'm finally getting to a point where I'm kind of liking it.
Yay.
It didn't look that bad. What's stressing you out? Are you trying to get the reflection look on it, or what's up?
Basically, I'm going with the GW paint scheme. So if you look at the model of the mirror, it's got this very smooth transition from like a darker blue to a lighter, almost white blue.
Oh, it's a subtle blending gradation.
Yeah, it's a subtle blending gradation that is giving me fits right now.
Yeah, those are really hard to do. Those are extraordinarily hard to do. I feel your pain.
But I think I finally got it to where I want it. So there you go.
And now I have Michael Jackson Man in the Mirror going through my brain.
Man in the mirror, waiting on the world to change.
All right, so
what?
Not popular enough for me to know the words to that.
Sorry.
to get back to what I was going to say before I got distracted. Speaking of model conversions, has everyone seen the Noblar Muppet Man that Vince has made for me?
I
That
am
looks
not.
so good.
You actually pull it off?
So good.
He
It's awesome.
pulled it off, and I have to say, despite myself, I'm really impressed.
Dude, it's great. I mean, you took it to the next level with him taking his mask off, like the ogre mask off and everything. I promoted him to a moderator. I'm just like, he's got to get credit. This guy's too talented. He's got to do it.
He's got a poll on the YouTuber site now as to whether you guys feel like I should field it or not. And I've still kept my vote no because, frankly, it would be weird for me to backpedal and basically make the whole purpose useless at this point. But being that I think it's already like 82 to 18.
I think it's 84 at this point.
It's something like I'm gonna lose this bad. Like it's the only people that have voted no is me and Marcus Liedstrom, and I don't know why he did that. Whether he was just showing support for me, felt sorry for me, or what. But there's only 2 votes no.
Oh, I haven't even seen it. Hang on. Where's it at?
Marcus is a cool guy like that. I can see that.
He did a couple hours ago.
Okay.
But the idea is I pretty much I think we're going to keep it up like through the week. At least that's what Vince said. But I can kind of see the writing on the wall. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose this one. So I'm trying to come up with some fluff because he ended up succeeding in making the model look more serious than I expected it to.
I absolutely agree with that.
So I'm trying to come up with some fluff that sort of acknowledges that it's kind of goofy that 3 Noblars have just decided to like stand on each other's shoulders in a giant ogre suit, but at the same time come up with something serious enough that will make me happy to like continue to field it in my army. And sort of pay homage to the obvious amount of work that Vince managed to do to knock it out in 2 days. Like it was ridiculous how fast he got it done.
Okay, I have one suggestion, or a couple, I guess. I'll start with the first one that came to my head. What if you made like a bleeding heart ogre? You know, he's just all for nobblers. Thinks they're mistreated and all that. So he tries to integrate them slowly by having them dress up like ogres, you know? And when he's around them and acting like it's normal, other ogres are like, well, maybe he's just weird looking.
Yeah. The problem with that particular line of thinking is that according to the ogre fluff, that particular bleeding heart ogre would never stop getting his ass kicked by the bruisers.
Well, yeah, of course. Which would make it even better.
But it specifically spells out in the book that one of the job responsibilities of the bruisers in the tribe is to smack around any ogre who spends too much time playing with his Noblar.
You're gonna go blind!
Yeah.
It was going to be that, or they were going to try. A group of Nobblers just got sick of it, and their whole plan is to try to outwit the ogres, or like become part of them and learn their like how they interact and study them. And that's their whole plan, is just to study how to one day overthrow them, which could lead into your Nobbler character that you're creating. Maybe they're like covert Nobblers.
Well, here's the one thought I've come up with so far, and I admit it's kind of fucking dark, but it plays into what's been going on with the Nobblars to begin with, in my particular army. The White Tooth, obviously, there's a lot of powerful connections with family there, particularly in the Tyrant Tokron's family. So, my thought is, what if because Tokron has at least, that I've mentioned, at least another couple of kids, sons that haven't been mentioned before, that have been off screen. So, what if Tokron's favorite Nobblar, whatever, and a couple of his buddies end up accidentally killing one of Tokron's children?
Oh dear.
And rather than fess up to it, they skin the bastard and put the suit on.
That's badass.
And so
I like that.
Not only are they pretending to be an ogre, but they're literally like pretending to be one of Tokron's sons so that he doesn't find out about it and have them all murdered. And that would explain why they would be a bruiser in the tribe, which is typically like held by members of the tyrant's family. So that's all I've come up with so far, but I'm not sure I want to go like freaking Silence of the Lambs, wear a man suit kind of thing.
It's only as serious as you'd allow it to be, right? I mean, I got nothing. I can't make that sound not horrible. But it's hilarious to me because like Nobblars were one of my favorite things. I tried playing them in 7th edition, and I just wanted Nobblars. Like, Nobblars are awesome. They're better than goblins. I love that they literally just throw sharp stuff, so I'm all for that. Screw that guy. He deserves to be skinned.
Alicia's going to kick your ass for that comment.
I must be insane because I don't actually mind this one at all. Like, if anything, it's just like that proves how ridiculous the Nobblers were to be able to bring a son of Tokron down. So it's like I don't mind.
Yeah, that's some serious planning. See, and again, it goes back to the covert Nobblars. They're just highly skilled Green Beret Nobblars.
Either that, or they have made friends with Chew, and Chew likes them really, and will kind of protect them if anybody tries to mess with them, because Chew thinks it's funny.
That makes sense.
Don't tell Chew's favorite Nobblars.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you who don't pay attention too much, Chew is my giant in the White Tooth clan. He's Chew the Giant, so apparently Chew, like, Michael and Skip love that guy no matter what happens. They've got such an unreasonable love for that giant
Now I'm worried.
that they attach him to everything.
Yeah, it ate my Grail reliquary one time, but I still love him.
Dude, he's kind of like Hodor. Except just way bigger and more badass.
I got this bad feeling though if we try to connect the Nobblars to Chew, because eventually we might have I will pet him and love him and call him. Oh. moment.
Yeah, but like I don't know. Like I said, I want it to have something that would like fit to what I'm thinking about for my army and make it fit, but at the same time, kind of acknowledge how strange it is that there are 3 Noblars in a suit, basically.
You know, to be honest, I think once you give it a story, and if it is a serious story, you'll grow with it. To be honest,
I'm sure.
You know, I'm trying to make this whole like cool Viking army with these like 7 Crusader heroes and all that, and I bought these freaking dogs. They looked badass and huge on the thing. Well, here's what they look like. They look like mongoloid retard puppies, and I am like struggling. What was that?
They look like a giant blob. Your camera's not very good, or you're moving too much.
Hold
let me see if I can find a better one of these mongoloid retard puppies.
I just like the phrasing on it. It's...
If you can't see it, I will link you to a picture I took of them. But they're not even as big as a goblin. They're scale size.
The scale's just all jacked up.
Here's Magneto. Right? Here's the mongoloid retard puppy. So they're freakishly tiny, and I'm just trying to figure out what to do with them or how to put them in the fluff where they would be anything cool.
You're doing this. You're doing this as a Warriors of Chaos counts as, right?
Yeah, basically I'm doing a Warriors of Chaos army that isn't worshipping chaos.
So here's my suggestion: get a chariot base, put 3 or 4 on them, make it a dog pack that uses the stats of the Gorby's chariot.
That was my first thought too. I had 2. I was either gonna do that, use them as hounds, but that's not fun, or just like stack them on top of each other because they fit really well. Oddly, you can get like a cheerleader stance out of them. So I got like this cheerleader stance of all these like special looking dogs, and I just put like a lord on top of it, and I'm like, hey, it's a palanquin, and so
the puppy.
Those are the choices I have. But yeah, that's funny that you came up with that. That's one of the thoughts I had.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure out how I'm gonna make a hell cannon because I can't afford buying any new models right now.
When did hell cannons get so freaking expensive?
Yeah.
It's ridiculous because I've been waiting to get one for a while, and I'm like, I might as well get one now that a little bit of money, and they're like $67.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've got like 3/4 of a 2-headed dragon that I might incorporate. I know how to do paper mache. I mean, I could be doing anything here. I'm really not certain yet.
Yeah, I honestly just looked at monster models that looked like they would be able to shoot fire. And I'm like, hell cannon.
Oh, God. So I showed my daughter, my 3-year-old, your picture of your Gamera can thing, and she just was kind of like, oh, that's neat. And then tonight I was showing her some random pictures and showed her a picture of a turtle, and she said to me, Didu, I need to get one of those for my army too. Like an actual box turtle. It was just...
I feel good. That makes me happy. That's awesome.
Wow.
But yeah, it's like for those big centerpiece monsters with a nice base, you always sit there. I keep finding myself thinking, okay, what could I substitute that for that I think would look cool? I thought about that with the Hell Pit, and I'm like, if I'm going to keep the Hell...
Let's hope you're not picking real live animals like she was trying to.
Oh no. I'm seeing maybe some sort of Goro snake thing. That'd be kind of neat.
If you really want to piss people off, just put a guy with a top hat on the base, and just he's my hell pit. They spent so much time trying to create the worst thing possible, and it turns out it was an aristocrat in a top hat.
That's actually pretty good.
Make him look like a politician. Build a little podium and have some picket signs or something.
Yeah, he can have like people behind him are like Skaven
thing. The Skaven.
Wait. A Skaven politician.
No, a human politician. The Skaven try to make the most horrible thing they possibly could, and the best they can come up with is a human politician.
With the top hat. The top hat's very important. It adds the this sleazy level. This guy could be selling me. He could be Jack the Ripper.
Hey, you gotta be careful about that around our area of the country, Whoopi, because of the fancy lads. They're like a gaming group, and they put like top hats on their freaking demon princes and shit like that.
But they have the monocle. A top hat without a monocle, you got Jack the Ripper. A monocle, now you got a fancy guy.
Yeah, I keep a top hat.
Okay.
But put the Skaven slaves behind him, right? Holding like advertisement signs and picket signs, and you can fill up the whole base and use that. Worst comes to worst, you have a freaking hilarious unit filler for your Skaven slaves.
That's true. Although now you just made me think, what's the worst? What could the Skaven have made that was worse than anything? And the first thing I thought was, I wonder if there's a spare model for a Grecius.
Dude, that is a super expensive model. It's really obnoxious.
But as soon as you bang on about how much you don't like him, I'm like, that would actually be kind of funny.
Well, the shame is that I don't much mind the model. It's that his rules and character and personality all kind of suck.
Oh. Okay.
And I still wish they made Noblar Palaquin like a mount choice for the ogres. Like, I think they should, for the ogre tyrant, you should have Noblar Palaquin and Mornfang as options for. Jesus Christ! I gotta find whoever assembled these Warriors of Chaos and beat him to death. Either that or it's the most. Or it's the most subtle presentations ever. Like they all, like this whole back line has like flipped around right hands on the left hand, so that they're like grabbing this way, and it's like the thumbs on the outside, and it's like I didn't notice it until I'm like painting them now, and I'm just like, son of a bitch, they're all like this. The whole back rank wields swords. Well, no, there's an axe.
There needs to be. We need to start a tab on either the Warhammer YouTuber or the PMP where it's like, "Oops, what I done," and where you just put up the worst accident glued models possible. Like,
all right, hold on. Alicia's gonna burst if she doesn't get to burn Skip here. Go ahead.
Oh no!
Let him have it.
I love you, Skip.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you that right now.
Okay.
I'm making this.
And I'm glad that you're using your glasses now. He had me paint some of his. They were Corsairs for his Dark Elf army, and he hadn't clipped the some of the sprue off the head, so it didn't really glue right to the body. So all his heads are kind of doing this, and like they have like this massive thing like right here.
I think you've told me this before.
It's bad.
And
tell them about the champion for that unit, because that's my favorite part of this story.
God.
I think you lost the arms for the champion. That's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt on that one.
Okay.
Chest for the champion in that unit has shoulders. The rest of the models don't have shoulders. They're part of the arms that you just glue on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the chest is, he's holding a sword in front of him, double-handed, or something like that. Or I think he's crossed. He's supposed to cross him. Anyway, so the poor guy has two shoulders already, and Skip grabs one of the regular arms and glues it on there. So the guy's got 3 shoulders and 1 arm. It took me forever to figure out what had happened. because I'm looking at the model because he had partially painted it already, and I'm looking at this thing. And I'm like, what is going on? So this poor thing, and I finally figured it out. They fought the Skaven.
Hey!
And the poor guy got warped.
Yes.
Just mutated all to hell.
I know.
He's a survivor.
He's a survivor.
So should I make this as a tab? Do you think people would find fun out of this? I'll just explicitly no names. You just put it up, say what happened. You don't have to say who did it. Just have fun with it. It's like Walmart watching, except knowing gets hurt if their names are not there, right?
Yeah, that sounds fine.
That sounds just fine. I don't know. Would you?
It'll be a bit of jolly. Why not?
Yeah. Everyone needs a little jolly. Oh, I posted something up in the chat in the corner for you, so it doesn't interrupt the conversation flow.
What thoughts are you requesting? I mean, I will give thoughts about that particular person, about the idea of the PMP or Paintisodes, whatever.
Oh, no. Well, basically, let's just... I was going to say at 10 o'clock I had set up, I was going to do a PMP Paintisode video with Nick Finsk. So,
Isn't it Finsky?
Whatever.
I say it both ways just in case one's wrong.
Because that's far less effort than just asking the poor guy, rather than butchering his name 50% of the time.
Well, I've already asked him, so it makes it even worse. I can't, like, re-ask how to pronounce a name you've already asked. It's like, I was really tired that day. I'm sorry. I'm not good at remembering names. But yeah, should we bring him on here, or if not, I can go over and do my own thing?
I mean, the other night we had freaking 9 people on here. Why not?
Let's not do 9 people again. I couldn't get a word in edgewise.
Okay, well we'll bring one more and that'll be it. Send it to Nick if he wants to come on. He's a jolly fellow, and I have absolute and 100% respect for his beard. So he is welcome wherever I rule, simply because of that beard.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Poor Josh has beard envy because all he can have is a mustache. Thank you, job.
Actually, they're changing our requirements soon. They haven't told us how, but they specifically said that the beard rule will be changing within the next coming weeks. So
Yeah.
Did everyone riot? Did everyone riot? Did they like go out into the street in the rain, like at the end of Shawshank Redemption, like finally?
No, I think they actually complained that our employee handbook specified that men must be clean-shaven, but did not say so for the women.
Did you have bearded ladies?
Well, we could have, and it would have been okay. So I think that's unacceptable.
Yeah, that's not equal.
Right, and so I'm going to ride the feminism wave into having beard again.
So you actually have to trim that shit this time.
Right. No, I used to go a little crazy with the whole beard thing, and it used to be terrifying, and I looked like a terrorist, so...
The word unkempt bush come to mind. So,
was there birds in it? I mean, was it an attractive bush for birds? I mean... I'm trying to look in the plus side. I mean, would birds nest in your unkempt bush beard? I mean, at least you got something going for you.
I'm not certain whether birds would camp.
Anyways, so are you gonna start growing for No Shave November then?
I don't know. Right now, they still haven't announced it, and I don't want to start anything that won't get me. Like, cause my direct boss was like, well, they haven't, like, HR hasn't made the specific decision yet, so hold back until we get the go-ahead from them, blah, 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 blah. So that's kind of what I'm waiting on.
So one morning you just forget to shave and you go in with this giant beard. Mittierim, what's going on? We didn't okay this. I didn't think it would grow that fast.
Like
now,
usually,
it usually takes me a couple days, so I don't have that excuse.
I actually got a couple comments about people talking about why I shaved my beard, and I looked like a 12-year-old boy with a double chin. And I was basically saying, no shave November, and I'm trying to do this thing where basically, I'm doing a campaign with my dwarves as well as while I'm making this, and I have a tournament coming up, and it's just a small games tournament. And as long as I win with my dwarves, I am not going to shave my beard at all. So that includes after November, if I'm lucky. So that way, if you guys ever see me with no beard, you know I failed. And
So basically, you're just going to be clean shaven.
I'm trying to find an excuse to be a homeless man, actually.
Right. Hey, Vince, how's it going?
Well, good evening, everybody. How you doing?
Hey Vince, how you doing tonight?
Vince,
I am fantastic.
I thought you were going to be Nick for a second, and I'm like, wait, that's not Nick Vince.
No, I think Vince is coming on to gloat a little bit.
Oh, that may be part of my purpose. Yes, you may be on to me there, Mr. Mittierim.
Well, did you missed our whole discussion? I was discussing a little bit of the fluff that I'm coming up with for the Noblar hero, specifically since I'm pretty much accepting that I'm going to lose this one.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you've accepted defeat. That's what's important.
Just about. I have one loyal supporter. As far as I know, Marcus Leedstrom hasn't changed his vote yet. So.
Yes, I've got to make sure that check gets in the mail for him soon. So hopefully we can get that flipped around.
Oh wow. Okay. Anyway.
But absolutely well done, man. You the quality of your craftsmanship definitely was making me rethink my position. In fact, about the only reason I didn't vote yes is because I didn't want to totally nullify what we're doing here.
Well, it's funny, too, because when the first couple of votes came in, I looked at it and I was like, who voted negative? And I was like, I dug into it and I was like, oh, of course, duh. How did I not guess who voted against it? Oh, no, good stuff. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail whatever conversation you were having. That's my apology.
I think we were talking about Ruby's facial hair, so since he apparently left, it's pretty material now. Oh.
Well, no, man, in all seriousness, I'm super happy that you like the fig. I was very happy to do the conversion, and I'm glad. It was a lot of fun. Like, honestly, as soon as I thought of it, the little guy with the sticks for the parts and stuff, you know, oh, I'm an ogre. Sure, absolutely. It was just a hellacious amount of fun to put together. And, like, seriously, as soon as you finished that paint, or we were talking or whatever, you were in the Paintisode, and you said, all right, Vince, do it. I mean, literally, I just, like, swept my work desk. Like, just, whoosh, all right, that's it. This is happening now. Go, 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 go.
You are a boss. Good job.
Yes.
I just saw it.
I feel awesome that it was able to give you enjoyment and to provide some inspiration for you.
Can I start like a slow clap? Can I start a slow clap?
I did as much as that.
Can I start a slow clap for you, Vince? Is that like... to be honest, yeah, the way you pulled that off tremendously. I mean, the skin of the mask and everything, that was awesome.
I actually have to say, I think the thing that won me over the most for it was actually how you chose to do the pose. Rather than just have him standing there looking like he was still suited up, the whole, like, ha-ha, we fooled you!
Yeah,
like,
the dynamic Marvel pose.
that was actually
the whole time!
Shit out of me. So...
But, because of that, now Vince is one of the moderators for PMP. So if you guys ever want to ask him questions, you Skip or Dark CT, if you ever join, go to Vince. He's our new man. And I also brought Victor Hughes up to co-owner because he's just been working extremely hard on doing without me even asking him.
Yes, I also wanted to say, Whoopi, thank you very much for that. I appreciate it, and I will do my best to live up to this. I'm very excited about it, so thank you very much.
No, it's a pleasure to have you in there, man. Truly is. So it worked, Nick. What's up?
Yeah, man.
We were talking about your awesome beard and how I'm a
Yes.
failure because I shaved mine.
Oh, not a failure. It grows back, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
But no, we were saying that I have great respect for your beard, sir, and I hope that at Waka it leads you to victory over the hairless.
Well, that's just naturally going to happen. I mean,
Right.
let's
Well,
face it.
I was referring more to his challenge from Demonic Orchard.
Okay, dude, what's up with Demonic Orchard freaking challenging everyone? It was funny in the beginning, but now it's just like, come on. It's fun. It's fun, but I don't know.
I'm just waiting for
I
my
think-
challenge in the mail.
My personal thought on this is that the Warhammer YouTubers community killed his parents, and now he's on a mission of vengeance. That's the only thing I've come up with so far. Whether it's true or not, I'm going with it.
That's a Fluffy and Volkswagen mission is now on a warpath for great pleasure.
There's been 2 points in my life on a YouTube page where I feel like someone took the reign of me saying the thing that caused blank faces, and that was the Robin Williams joke in that. I was literally just like,
Okay. Yeah, well,
should I laugh at this?
so I was trying to do a Batman thing, but like I'm gonna feel like a jackass if his parents are dead or something. So.
Yeah, you never go with the parent. Maybe like belated uncle or something that he went on fishing trips with, or try something else. I don't know.
It was an attempted Batman thing. So
Okay, so basically, like he's reaching out for vengeance, and he's wearing Sludnash as his bat.
right.
Yeah, okay.
It's his whole tree thing. For some reason, he thinks we're afraid of trees, and so he's taken on the persona of the orchard to strike fear in the hearts of YouTubers.
Well,
Dude, I don't know. When I go charging into battle and I see a cherry blossom, I piss myself a little bit.
you know, with great leaves comes great responsibility.
Oh!
Yes! All the bird slaps.
He doesn't say a lot, but when he does, it really lands. That's what's great about him, right there. That's good.
Oh, the tree puns occur now.
See, I'm hoping he actually comes to Brawlers next year because I'm planning on going, and I would love to get on his list of people he absolutely destroyed because I realize it wouldn't even be really a good fight. He would totally take it to me.
So, how many people are going to Brawlers? Because I got an offer from Nick and Naren that makes it pretty seeming like I might be able to go up there.
Holy crud.
I'm definitely going. I mean, I lined it up that I was going primarily to meet the other YouTubers since there's a lot of folks that go up there.
Yeah, I'd love to. That's what I'd like to do, definitely.
And for us, it's like an hour and a half away from where we live, and my grandparents live basically nearby. So I've got a place that I could be able to reasonably crash at, so it's not a huge deal for me.
Do you know if anyone else is going? Nick, are you gonna pull a plane ticket and go up there?
I don't know if I'll make it to Brawler's Bash. I play in so many. I'm kind of trying to limit myself to like 3-4 GTs a year, just because they get to be expensive weekends, and I have other things I want to do too.
Oh yeah, definitely. To be honest, I was actually actively looking at the things that are around in Iowa for GTs, and it turns out there's a lot in Council Bluffs, but otherwise it's all in Minnesota and Wisconsin and Nebraska.
I wasn't aware that corn ran tournament.
Ooh. What was that?
You said you were looking around at all the stuff in Iowa, and I was like, I didn't know corn was able to run tournaments.
Well, see, what they do is they clear out an area in the middle of the field, and then they just drive there at like midnight, and then they shine some spotlights on it, and then they just get real serious about it.
So that explains the popsicles.
Yeah, that explains the testosterone and the knives and why I say strange things. I'll just throw that in there for it, but basically what I'm getting at, if you end up going to another one, I'll help fund it if you bring me along with you. I definitely want to go to a GT just to see the atmosphere.
It's always good fun. I went to the one in Omaha this past summer, and it was an all right time. Not as many of the usual suspects. I mean, you kind of go to these GTs, and it's like almost like kind of like a class reunion. You see bros you haven't seen in like 3 or 4 months, and you get drunk, and it's very class reunion-ish. And at the one in Omaha, there were a few guys that I knew and recognized and had a good time, and I obviously went with a couple good friends. But I don't know. I think that's as far as like the Masters is concerned, I think that's considered like the West region, which blows my mind. But Nebraska
Wow.
really associated with West, but
Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, because I was looking at there's a lot of high prestigious players that were at the Bug Eater that you're talking about, and that kind of was making me really hesitant to go. I'm like, man, I'll just go and get my ass kicked by everyone. I mean, I want to have a little bit of fun, but
yeah, man,
yeah,
I was totally there.
What was that?
I was totally there in all of my prestige.
And I only knew you by your iSelf Army, and that I reviewed on Warhammer Weekly. But yeah, if you ever want to go to Wisconsin or something, let me know, and I'll try to see if I can figure something out if there's another one coming up. But I'm digressing and stealing the show, and I feel weird. Take over, somebody.
Well, I'll jump in for just a second to say I apologize. I just jumped in to say that quick thing and to say, Mittierim, thank you, and we'll get together on where I'm shipping this thing after I get some snow on the base. After the inevitable victory happens.
Right.
And I look forward to seeing it on the table. And
And in fact, in honor of the work you've done, I'm actually planning when it arrives, it's going to get its own Fluff Masters video, first of all, as a showcase, and I will reveal whatever final fluff I've come up with to add them to the White Tooth, and they will actually be entering the narrative and not just random games, because I figure that's worth the work that you've put into it. So it'll have a showcase video of its own as well.
Well, thank you very much, sir. As long as it doesn't get the Death Holy Death treatment that Nagash got, or the Nagash treatment that Death Holy Death gave, I'll be very happy.
Absolutely not. I'm far more likely to set fire to my opponents than any of my models. So
I'm with you.
I guess power to him. Couldn't you give it to me? Just fine. If you're gonna burn your Nagash, give Whoopi it. I'll use it. I'll give it a nice home. That's all I gotta say.
What Tremendous said that Death Holy Death's reasoning was struck me as being absolute perfectly Dark Elven. About just sometimes wanting to see something beautiful burn. I was like, that explains why he plays the Dark Elves. Right there, that one sentence.
So, let's do this. What's the worst performing Lord you've ever had in any of your games that has been that
Have a
if
good
you
night,
could right now
See you, Vince.
you're playing. Later, man.
See you, Vince. Worst performing what?
So your worst performing hero or lord that you've ever used, and preferably multiple times because you want to give him a chance. You were like hopeful for him, but he's just failed you in every way, shape, and form. And if you could burn him here now, figuratively, which hero would you pick?
I'll take it.
Go ahead, because I think I know which one you're about to pick.
Sinbane, my Dreadlord.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to pick General Runs Away.
He's second.
Well, at least he does what he's supposed to, right? I mean, General Runaway. If he's running away, he's winning, right?
No, that was the name he got after his failure to stick around in combat.
Runs a lot? Yeah.
Yes, runs a lot.
Runs a lot, yep.
Who would have figured Sir Runs-A-Lot would have ran away in battle? Damn it!
But no, I cannot put together a good Dreadlord to save my life.
Dreadlord.
What was that, Alicia?
I was going to ask, does it have to be a character or a lord? Is there something else that, because I would burn trolls. I would burn trolls all day long, every day, all day.
Is there one specific troll that you would just be like, you're the one that gets burnt, just like out of a crowd of 18?
Well, she's never used them in anything larger than like groups of 3.
Because they sit there and do nothing.
This needs to be forwarded to Malorian. This is fun.
That's yeah.
You know, I have no opinion on trolls at all, so I want to see things burn. I'm
think
down
they're
for
awesome. They're not as cool as Noblars, but they get the job done on occasion.
Yeah, they do.
I'm enjoying them now that I'm playing Warriors of Chaos.
Oh yeah, you're using the Throg.
Well, I played Throg once, and he's fun. But I mean, the fact that trolls, they can just take such a beating and give it back as good as they're getting it. They're pretty awesome in my book. I don't know. I'm trying to think of. I don't know that I've ever had any lords or heroes I've been particularly unhappy with. Although my run of bad luck with Torga as a Mage of Undeath is probably close up there, but I wouldn't burn her because, I mean, she's still my little girl.
She's pretty much been punished enough. I mean, turning into a
yeah. I don't know. I think in general, probably the worst luck I've had with a lord is the generals of the Empire. They're pretty garbage unless you're putting them like on a griffin or something for some cool shenanigans. But by themselves, yeah, they're pretty terrible.
I think that's the first time anyone said that since 7th edition, that the only way this is better is if you put it on a monster.
Dude, I say that about everything. I talk that way about my chariots. Let's put chariots on a monster and do it.
In real life, I'm making some toast. Let's put this shit on a monster. This is gonna be some monster toast.
Monstrous toast.
What about you, Nick?
I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think. I've been putting a lot of hard thought into that. You know, Mitt and your crew, I just want to say this one thing. I think it's awesome, like, all the fluff and the narrative stuff you guys do, and you name all of your characters and your lords and things like that. Like, I play, you know, D&D regularly, but when it comes to Warhammer, I never get that creative. I just name my things like dick on an eagle or ass on a horse.
But that's just as good. I mean, that's awesome.
You're just translating their names. You're
Yeah, that's
translating.
right.
Yeah, his name is Dick on an Eagle in Elf, I think.
Well, we appreciate that. I like that. I think it was interesting because it was just kind of a natural outgrowth of our own D&D playing. And when I started doing the YouTube thing, it just really kind of shocked me how little the fluff side of things got any attention. And so it was nice that it was able to kind of get me an instant sort of hook and let me do something. What?
Carve your niche. I mean, I think you got a nice little niche going. I mean,
And apparently it's working because, I mean, I've had the channel for less than a year, and I will probably be 600 subscribers by the end of the month. At the rate I'm going right now.
It's funny because I watched your channel in the earlier stage of when you were starting out, and you had your subscribers and your fans, but I remember it had, like you were saying, that niche, because my brother and I, when we played, we always made up stories to make it more fun. You know, we tried to make it cinematic and epic, and just like try to give it that like feeling where you should care about these characters, or you shouldn't, or you should hate this guy, or make some reason as to why these faceless masses are fighting. You know. And I watched your channel, and I'm like, he's doing what me and my brother does, but he's doing it like writing it out. This is awesome. I mean, right after I saw that, I remember like 5 minutes later, I'm like, hey, you want to be on Warhammer Weekly?
And the rest, as they say, is history. I gotta say though, there was a definite clear point that convinced me that what we were doing was right. And it was right after the Fluff Masters video we did to update our narrative to the end times. And Skip wrote about Lord Alphonius basically becoming king of Bretonnia while being corrupted by chaos. And the first response that we got was basically saying that Alphonius not only needed to be executed, but he needed to be drawn and quartered, and the pieces need to be hung on pikes as an example to future usurpers.
No, that I like.
Well, that sounds like
But I was just like, man, we are obviously like touching a nerve with people, and they're getting interested in this story. If that was like the first reaction as soon as we drop a big bomb like that.
Well, and that's one of the things I was alluding to earlier, too, when I was talking about the demographics of players. Like, there are those people, the immersion is what the game is for them, you know? And so I could totally see someone being totally involved in the immersion and seeing that and just be like, what the hell, no! It's the same reason people were threatening to kill Naren for his pony army, you know?
Really? They did that?
Well,
they threatened to punch him. That's probably what
like
come on. Is there anyone that really needs a reason to punch Naren's aid?
No, I don't need a reason to. I'm not gonna punch at all.
That's my hammer brother.
I like his pony army. I did. I enjoyed the crap out of it. I was gonna do it myself.
No, I give Naren a hard time, but I was actually about the only one on YouTube that backed him when he first did that. Everybody else was tearing that man a new asshole.
I didn't even know this community was here at the time. I found out about it on the Daka Daka forums, and I actually sent PMs to him about it.
But I mean, even the other folks in the YouTubers community was just tearing him up on it, and I was like the only person going to bat for him, and of course that got me instant like, he's insulting the hobby. You shouldn't be siding with him. It's like, dude, he's having fun playing with little toys. Anybody else not having fun playing with little toys? Oh, I thought so.
See, that's the thing, you know. I remember talking to you extensively on that. I was stating how I could understand why someone would be upset about it. Because, like, there is the whole immersion aspect, you know? And if you're going in there with this whole, like, fantasy in your head and all of a sudden you see these, like, ponies coming at you, it's just like, are you serious? Are you serious about this right now? I don't play that way. I would find it hilarious. And honestly, I find it more hilarious the levels of anger people get when you see the army itself. Just because it's so cute and stupid, and people are, like, outraged. They're just like offended by this, you know. It's visually obnoxious to them. It's freaking ridiculous.
It makes them broil with cornate hatred.
I thought it was an interesting way to go about it, and I mean, obviously the man knows what he's doing because he's winning these tournaments. So I say let the man have his fun and get off his back.
Mm-hmm.
I never had a problem with the actual, like, looking at it and going, it's ponies. The problem I had with that army was I've played Bretonnia. I got like 4 Bretonian players in my group, and it's so hard to keep, from a tactical perspective, to keep track of all, like, who's the paladin, who's this guy, who's that. There's like, 3 or 4 lances running around, and you have to like mentally keep a note of who's got heroic killing blow, who's got this, who's got that, and just looking at that army, like, not because it was My Little Pony, but because I couldn't like identify like who's the BSB, who's this, who's got that. Like it brought back that panic in me whenever I play Bretonnia and I can't pinpoint.
Yeah, that's the thing too, though. With Bretonnia, you already have that confusion a little bit too, because they're all so different. Like it's a and into one chameleon wall.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I can't tell Bretonian units apart for shit, even when it is Bretonia's army. So
That's my
I
bad.
don't
We
Let me
talked
expand
about
a little
that
bit on-
with him.
what Skip.
Go
Let
ahead.
me- I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and expand upon what Mitt was saying about that response that I got. About a week later, I actually got an email from the guy who basically started, the conversation about it. And we were talking. He is actually sending me models in the Bretonian army to go against Lord Alphonius's army. And I told him that I would place them in that army that I take against him.
Wow.
Yes,
You're kidding.
awesome.
I am not kidding.
Oh my god.
Man.
That's super awesome. You didn't tell me that. That's
No, I was going to
Applause.
surprise you with it. So
You know,
Yeah.
I'm just sitting here painting Magneto. I don't know.
Okay, I wanted to touch back on the what lord would you burn in fire?
yeah.
We still got a Nick. Did you fully answer that, Nick?
I don't think I fully answered it.
No, he got distracted.
The ponies again.
Up to me.
Damn it, it's
Never.
always the freaking ponies.
I did have one named character, but this was when I played 40K, and I haven't played that game in years and years. But I had a super cool Demon Prince model, and I called him MCP Pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
I love candy.
Well, like I took the Shaloub model, and I put a Terminator torso on it, and I molded a spider head with a shower cap, and I put a diaper on him, and this dude just like ran around, and he rarely died, but he also rarely did anything.
That's pretty much how the monsters work in our campaigns, anyway. So he'd fit right home. Let me ask you that, because as far as our group goes, the only person who's ever played 40K is Michael. I thought they were pretty much like totally anti mods and stuff. Don't you have to be like exactly what you have in your army list, like on the model or something?
It's pretty WYSIWYG intensified, and it's gotten. Again, I haven't played the game in a good number of years, but I remember the Chaos Space Marines Codex. Prior to would be like 3 codices. Is that right?
Yeah.
Codices.
Codices, that sounds good.
Like 3 of them ago, and you could totally customize your Demon Princes with like gifts and this and that and cool armor and all kinds of cool stuff. And then the one came out for like 5th edition or something, and it just like vanillatized the entire process. And it was like, nope, you get to pick
Actually, I have kind of.
or a nunchucks of something. And that was it. You got like 3 options, and that kind of began the downslope of customization and everything being WYSIWYG.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I haven't played it in a really long time, but it is very, very WYSIWYG. Like, well, where's the flamer? Does that guy have a flamer? I don't see a flamer.
That's not a grav cannon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
That's part of the issue. Depending on the army you're dealing with in 40k, you've got like all these different things you can actually have in the unit. Like, oh, he can have a rocket, that guy can have a rocket launcher, that guy can have a flamer, that guy can have a whatever. It causes a lot of issue when you have, so many models in an unit can be equipped with so many different things. So for some armies that is an issue. Other ones, like for Necrons, there's only like 2 options or 1 option for certain units, so you could be a little more free with it, I guess, but it really depends.
For me, I guess I'm rather ignorant on the way it is now, but are they like that with just the guns, or is it with characters too? Like, can you bring in alternative models?
Now,
Anyone know?
I don't know anything about that one, to be fair. I just know
I know that they always complain about the guns and stuff and how that works, but I've never heard anyone say anything about, like, alternative models.
That's a good question. I can't field
Well,
it.
there was
Victor, damn it.
It's got to be something like that, because the last thing I got into, like on Daka, which was cracking me up, is like this guy did one of their big like chaos demon tank troop move or whatever they call
the rhinos.
But instead of like putting where the gun emplacements are, he basically left them off and put like caged go-go dancers in it instead. And so like one person was just totally offended and brings this to everybody's attention about this is sexist and this is why women aren't in the hobby and blah, 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 blah. But the thing that I thought was so funny is that almost immediately it got derailed with the, well, he can't use it anyway because it doesn't have the gun in it. It's like
oh my gosh.
I remember that thread. Half the people were like one person and like further people were crazy outraged about the go-go dancers in there, and like half the people were like, "Well, what do the side sponsons count as then?"
Yeah, it was just so weird that like it just made me have to stop, and I was like, I can't even seriously like follow this conversation anymore because half of you are arguing women's rights in games, the other half of you are arguing that it's not WYSIWYG.
I feel it's one of those moments where you feel like you're in an episode of South Park.
No, that's every day.
It was just one of those that I looked at it and was just like, are you people fucking kidding me? Of course, the thing that I thought was really, really funny is that and it is badly on me, and I don't know if you guys have seen my Keeper of Secrets that I modded, but all of the go-go dancer stripper chicks that he used are all the ones that I have crowded around the feet of my Keeper of Secrets. So I was like, all right, maybe I've got no real room to discuss the sexual politics or the gender politics of these particular pieces since I'm using them all, but
I look forward to getting corrupted by that tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, he's tomorrow night. Skip is taking on 2,500 points of my demons with full 50% lords and heroes.
Oh my, interesting.
So we'll see how that works.
I remember when the rule first came out, I was talking with Nick, and I was rather optimistic about it in the beginning. And the thing that made me not optimistic about it was just I started thinking about ways it can be abused, and I know that people were going to do that. But realistically, it can be fun still, I think. Have you guys, any of you played with it yet? Have you tried it?
I've played it a couple times, and like I said, it's not something, typically I don't like max out the Lords and Heroes choices, but an extra 100 points over what you could normally take in Lords and Heroes is a cool mount, or lets me have both my Tyrant and my Slaughtermaster and giving them some gear and stuff like that, so that's the kind of stuff I like about it.
It's kind of the way I'm feeling too. And just the new combinations to take things you normally, like heroes and stuff you normally wouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'd be using it, but a lot of the fan books I'm messing with right now just don't have a good lord to put up the stuff on. I did stumble on one of those who put them on a war elephant, and I might be trying that.
See, then there's the part of my mind that's like, I'm gonna take 15 banshees and 2 two vampire general, one with a -1 leadership banner, and the other one that makes you roll on with 3 dice. And I'm just gonna have a terrorgeist and scream the shit out of everything. So there's like 2 levels it can go, you know.
I can beat that 83 Warlock Engineers.
Well, that's
I
one
win.
of the things. That's
20
one of the,
night goblins. At least.
that's one of the things that I enjoy about our group. Because if somebody decides to just like douche out one day and bring that list, they'd show up and we'd be like, seriously, man, go into the other room and make a new list. We're going to start playing without you.
See, that would happen with my friends, and then they would just get pissy and be like, "All right, I'm gonna leave." But I don't know. What's your thoughts now, Nick? I know we had talked about that a little bit.
Well, I think, there's a lot of different angles to take from it. I think I know Mitt and guys, they got, a close-knit gaming group. I also have a pretty close-knit gaming group, and we kind of, I don't want to say make rules for ourselves, but when we show up to game, like, we kind of, there's some parameters set forth. Like, are we bringing filth tonight? Are we bringing fluff tonight? What are we doing?
Yeah, generally. I get you.
It's not enjoyable for anybody to show up. Even take 50-50 out of the equation. Leave it at what it was before, and if you show up with a dick kicker list, that's just not fun. If you brought, I wanted to try out a couple new units because I think they look cool and I painted them up.
See, I was perturbed about it because I wanted to start going to more tournaments around my area, and in the Midwest, it's very no comp. They don't.
Nope, zero comp. Like no.
Yeah, exactly.
Points, that's it.
Exactly. So like I have to deal with the realization that I could be playing this army, and it's a kick in the balls because it's a game that I've been playing for so long. I've loved it, and ups and downs or whatever. But that was the first time I just like got really pissed off, and it was one night, and I just God, I don't know. I'm okay about it now, just because I realize like if I just keep it in the friend circle or just keep it with people that are real, it's fine. But it totally can be abused.
I will have to say, the one thing I did learn in the first game I played against Michael with it, before it kind of became like the actual rules, it's very important to communicate to your opponent beforehand that you are actually doing that. Because the first game we did, it was like 2,000 points, and I brought a 750-point vampire blender lord on a zombie dragon, and just like spent 4 turns back touching him around the table. And he was like, "Wait, are we like after the game was over? He was like, "Wait, were we playing 50% lords and heroes?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I thought we were pretty straight on that."
Oh. I thought you would have picked up on that. I'm sorry. Yeah, that thing is a beast. Honestly, that was going to be the character that I would burn, because I played it back like the end of 6th through 7th, and in the beginning of the 8th, I never used it to what it could ever do. It always got killed really bad, and my whole army would crumble. I'm like, why would you put something so valuable out in the middle for everyone to see and shoot to death? It's like, hey, I'm the weak point in Zelda.
Because real men don't fear cannons.
Because it's fun.
It just reminded me of like Zelda. You're like the boss with the glaring red throbbing thing that you have to hit to like kill the monster, And it always happened. You would try to stop it, but it would happen inevitably.
Hello, Braun.
Yeah.
Oh.
Table flip.
Table flip.
That's why you'll never see it in my list.
That's a standing rule at our house, by the way, is that if you show up with Hellebron, your opponent is allowed to flip the table on you.
Wow.
And that's directed at me because I'm the only one who plays Dark Elves. So.
Right. Well, theoretically, we do have one guy we occasionally play with who is really a tournament fella, and sometimes when he gets tired of playing the super competitive shit, he comes over to just slum with us for a little bit. But even when he does that, he brings a relaxed list for him is still just a total dick kicker for us. So he brought Hellebraun one day and just ruined Skip's life.
Michael's life, but I watched.
Oh, was it Michael?
Yeah, Michael stepped up to the plate and.
I think I'm the only one that's beat him, haven't I? The dwarves, when they were mine, took it to his lizard men.
Well, that's good.
Well, we'll find out Wednesday. I'm playing him again, so we'll see.
Oh my.
Dwarves, what's he playing? Did he give you any hints?
He let me choose between Dark Elves and Warriors of Chaos, so I decided to just go for the plunge and take Warriors of Chaos. So.
Oh dear, have fun with that.
Yeah.
You want to try out my Crusader list? You got 80 around and 2 Chaos War Shrines.
You're going to be playing the dwarves, right? So it's dwarves on Warriors of Chaos?
Yeah, I'm playing the dwarves.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, just back up and use your combat resolution to break them. It's the best way to do it.
And Skip, what did we learn about initial deployment?
Don't set up on the line.
Right.
Yes.
As much shit as people give you for being a dwarf player and turtling up, it's what they do. I mean,
yeah, really.
Might as well. It's like giving Warriors of Chaos shit for having awesome troops. It's not my fault that it's the army or Lizardmen. You have a freaking slan, you slan player, you freaking lizard man player. It's the slan. That's what they have.
Let's see. Speaking of Lords to burn, to be honest, I never played Lords until I started just recently after I got out of Dwarves, and that's probably why I didn't like them so much. But if I wanted to give credit to something, I think it would be the Do Nothing Pirate Lord I had and the Daimyo, which never got to see combat because they both failed at their jobs.
Yeah. That's kind of the same reason I said the Empire General sucks, is he's like a combat-heavy, supposed to be a combat-heavy dude in an army that really can't afford to rely on its characters to get the job done as opposed to its units. And his stats are basically just slightly worse than a normal Chaos Warrior.
Well,
with some extra wounds.
With the
go ahead, Dark.
My apologies. The thing about it was in the Parts of Sartosa, the Pirate Lord is a must-take. You literally can't run on a list without him, and yet it's a human army that doesn't get neat mount choices. So he's kind of just chilling there, going, "Yeah, I'm just gonna lead you with my voice." It didn't work out very well when I got leadership bombed by hell cannons. It really, really didn't.
Well, I think with the Empire characters specifically, they're not those standalone dudes. They're supposed to kind of, the arch-lectors, they, give the guys hatred and the battle prayers. The Empire army in itself is, aside from steam tanks and demigriffs, is not about this thing's going to kick your butt. It's about all these things together are going to come together as a team and defeat you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's why I absolutely love the Archlector as a general, but the actual general of the Empire TM doesn't really do a whole lot to support the kind of playstyle you were just describing, which is really what the Empire needs to be successful.
We're cold-blooded.
Well, but your BSB is going to do that anyway, because the hero version gets that too.
Yeah. So really,
there's
no reason to take a general of the Empire ever.
Right.
Ever? No,
they're
not
on a Griffin, because the BSBs don't get Griffins.
I'll give this much to the Daimyo, though, in the Nippon army. At least he can definitely kill something. It's just he never got anywhere to kill anything. That's what I get for not putting him on a flying creature.
I was gonna mention on what Nick was talking about. They are a completely synergistic army, and I think it's kind of the only army that I think is comparable at all for as much as strong as they can be. If you work it right, I think it would be the Tomb Kings with synergy-wise. I know people crap all over them, but, I mean, synergy, it's awesome what they can do when they get rolling.
Oh, yeah.
I actually see a lot of parallels between the Empire and the Skaven.
That's what I saw, too.
I mean, you subtract the crazy randomness from the Skaven, and they still need... I mean, their combat units are, for the most part, relatively weak. They've got a couple of good... Like, the Hell Pit, you could probably say, is sort of the equivalent to the Demigryphs for the Empire. They're kind of your big shit kicker unit, but for the most part, you need to work your bubbles, work your buffs, and take your opponent apart piecemeal.
Oh, I think the play style was without a doubt very similar.
Mm-hmm. It is, as far as I can say from fielding them when I did. The Skaven are that's what it is. To me, I look at Skaven and now, comparing it to those other little fanbooks I've run, it all feels like a very human army, and it's fitting because Skaven are ostensibly very similar, just a little cheaper with some more crazy rules. So yeah, I think I'm in agreement on this one. It's all about lining up everything, because you're right. One of the issues with the Skaven army is low strength. If you count halberdiers ostensibly as high strength, then I guess we've got two options.
Mm-hmm.
And, yeah.
To be honest, the times I played Empire, I was playing them too much like dwarves, so to get myself out of the rut, I took a horde of great swordsmen and just put a hero in there that I knew was going to die with 2 warrior priests. And I'm like, all right, this is William Wallace, and he's going to kick your general's ass. And the guys just started laughing at me, and I kept a straight face because I didn't want him to know, like, I know what I'm saying right now. But he's like, all right, you can try. And I just kept saying Braveheart, like, quotes as I was charging up, and that's my experience with playing Empire, so...
So, just as a side note, what's really... If we're talking about just random fun Empire units, a horde of flagellates being backed up by a Pope-mobile is pretty freaking awesome.
I like flagellants. I really do. If I played them, I feel like I would actually field a lot of flagellants. Or flagellants.
I'm just using... In my current army, I'm only using like 28 of them or so, but when I first was playing them, I just plopped like a unit of 50 down and parked the Pope-mobile behind it. And was just like, I can't put a character in this, but I can give you hatred, I can throw buffs on you, and let's just go ahead and give a light mage nearby to give you Brionas for kicks.
Oh, God. If there's anything I've learned in the last couple of days is that I love light magic. Seriously.
It's so good for the weaker armies.
It's so good in
Empire specifically.
And Tomb Kings.
Any army that can get access to light, I think, has some, at least tiny reason to bring at least a caddy on it. I mean, I've been enjoying it. In the game I just did earlier today when I was playing Cathay, the Cathay Sorcerer on Yin and Yang, their actual spell list was great and all, but what took it home was the light caddy that had Baronas. It just was hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Man, who are you playing all these like armies with? The special armies.
Once again, Universal Battle.
Oh, have you tried the Famir yet?
I have not. I was just staring at the Hobgoblins actually a moment ago.
The rapey Cyclops purple people eaters that like got kicked out because they're so racy. Am I the only one that knows about them?
I know about them. I just haven't actually looked at the book too much for them yet.
I remember them from Hero Quest. Does that count?
Sure. Yeah, I guess. Do you know how they were? Like they were. Do you know how they were in Warhammer, or why they were kicked off?
No. They got bounced before I even originally started.
Yeah, they wanted their own original race basically. So they started the Famir, and the whole thing is there are these freak Cyclops people that live in the middle of these swamp plains. And they're extremely just like horrific, and they ate people, anyone that would wander onto their lands. They'd like kidnap babies and eat them and stuff. That kind of crap. And the only way they could reproduce, because the warp or whatever's something was wrong with them. They're so corrupt that they couldn't actually reproduce with each other. They had to rape women of other species to have babies. So upon releasing this, they thought it was going to be a good idea. And they were completely surprised at the backlash of the negativity in this book. It's like, what did you expect?
Is that real?
Yeah, that's completely real. I didn't make it up. Like, look it up. The premiere. I swear. I hope to God I didn't make that up. I would have to be a pretty sick.
Turns out it was all a dream Whoopi had one time. And
But
now he just looks really creepy.
I've seen that book. I've seen the fan-made army book for that. I have not done a glance over it yet. I'm still kind of working through Araby and the Kingdoms of Ind, but I pulled up Hobgoblin just a little while ago, and I downloaded it down. I'll have a look at that one shortly.
Yeah, just read the fluff, man. It's funny and disgusting. It's disturbing. It's just crazy that they actually tried to release it.
There's a guy on Carpe Noctem that, I mean, every forum has their little like paint log thread and whatnot. There's a guy on Carpe Noctem that's been putting a femur army together for quite some time, and they're pretty wicked looking.
No, yeah, the models are cool. The whole thing is they're meant to be like normal infantry size, but when they came out, it was either vice versa of what I'm saying. They're either were supposed to be infantry size and they came out the size of ogres. So they have like stats like humans, but they look like they should be beastly and have like strength 5. That, or they're really wimpy looking and they're they have the stats of like an ogre. So that was another problem they had. Like people didn't like the models because they didn't represent what their stats actually showed.
The current Femir book is not part of the major Warhammer Armies project, so I will have to track it down separately. But I'll see what I can find about them for the current book.
How many models does he have? Sorry, Skip. What was that?
I'm sorry. What is Universal Battles? I'm kind of lost on it.
It's a program that folks use to connect and play Warhammer battles on the computer.
Oh.
Basically, yeah. You can use it for some other things, I'm sure, but it's pretty much designed for square-based combat games. So Avatars of War and Warhammer Fantasy would probably be the first two things people would use it for.
Yeah, I was looking at that, and me and Tyler were going to start doing battles, but just looking at it looked confusing as hell. I'm guessing maybe if you get into it, it's not bad, but...
No, definitely not. In fact, it reminds me of the Fumble application people used to use for Blood Bowl, if you've ever seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of that. The biggest issue is if you play it free, and I do. But if you put in even a tiny amount, you can get all kinds of models that people put together and have all different kinds of army looks and things. It's really nice, honestly.
See, for me, like, I understand that, like, for folks who can't get in games and stuff like that, but for me, a lot of where the sort of entertainment in this hobby comes from is the ability to sit down and see a badass army on the table in front of you, and so Universal Battle never really tripped my trigger.
That's fair enough. It doesn't bother me at all. So.
Well, me either. I won't. I'm aware of it. I've never tried it, but I won't for the same reason I don't use self-checkout crap at like grocery stores, because I want like human interaction. I want to look someone in the eye when I'm ruining their hobby.
I was thinking about it. If
you
I
want
was...
to be able to smell the salt in their tears, right, Nick?
I was thinking about it too. It's something I can't believe that they haven't made any truly successful virtual Warhammer games. But realistically, if they wanted to, if they made like a Rome Total War with Warhammer Fantasy, my life would be gone. I would just spend every waking moment on that. Because, let's face it, when you play Warhammer, you want that thought of these epic, thunderous armies, you know? And you can't fully get that when you're playing, because it's kind of a smaller skirmish, you know? And you want these huger, grandiose battles.
Well, and it's just 2D.
Yeah.
Well, they are actually 3D rendered models now, and each one like kills each other in their own ways and stuff. It's actually really cool. I don't know. It's insane. I would totally be down for it.
I'm trying to push this away from the online thing, but as far as since we are doing a Paintisode, I figured it would be interesting to talk to some folks about some painting ideas. So I am one wash away from finishing the last of these Tzeentch Warriors. So my next small thing that I'm planning on doing is going to be a 5-man of Nurgle Knights.
Ooh.
So I'm thinking, I mean, I'm aiming for like a lacquered armor, so the color's not an issue, but I'll basically be repainting the models I get, and it has a significant size banner on it that essentially somebody freehanded. So I'm going to paint over that. But I'm looking for simple. It's not very good.
Okay, just the way it sounded.
What? Hold on.
I just imagine this guy just painstakingly drawing this beautiful just Monet on it, and it's like, man, this is scrappy.
It does suck.
No, freehand is rough.
So the idea, and I guess the something I'm looking for is, what do you guys think would be a good, relatively simple design that somebody who is fairly competent at freehanding stuff could make off that would be appropriate for a Nurgle Knight banner?
Upside down triangle.
I was gonna say, there's a reference on PMP that I can link you to after we're done with this, where someone was giving me some suggestions on that. Do you want it to be white? What kind of color are you going for? Or what's your theme for the Nurgle Knights to be?
To be honest, I haven't really thought of it. Black seems to be my running cut. Like I usually have like one unifying color through my armies, and so the Nurgle or the Tzeentch Knights and the Khorne Knights both have some significant black in them. So I was thinking maybe like black and green, but I don't know if that would make it hard to read. I'm really like just getting into the thinking about it, so I'm kind of open. That's why I figured I'd put it to you guys and see what comes up.
Now, what's your threshold for Nurgle? I mean, what point are you just like, that's too Nurgly? Because you could go with white and just put diarrhea colors all over that thing. If you wanted to, I'm just saying. That would be really easy, and it's Nurgle themed, so
Yeah, okay, so I want to go with something a little bit more...
Eyebrow?
Okay, all right. I know what go ahead.
A little more controlled.
But, yeah, you could... I think it would be really easy to actually do like a rotting flag. Just like the flag itself is decaying away. Or even making it kind of have like a skin tone type color, and it's decaying away. There's so much you can do with Nurgle. I'm sure you'll end up finding something that you land on that just like, this is it. But I mean, is there a certain symbol you want? Is that the problem?
I'm not certain. Like, I know the whole like 3 thing is big for Nurgle, like the 3 bells, the 3 heads of the plague. So I was thinking something like that, but I wasn't. Like, I'm not 100% yet. It's because I mean the thing is like each of the other like treatments all have the bumped up Chaos Star on it, so I've basically gotten off lucky and just been able to do the gold Chaos Star on each of them. But this one is just it's a featureless banner. So
here's the. Do you have any Tzeentch extra demon pieces or anything, or Tzeentch looking things at all?
No, I got Dick for Tzeentch.
I was gonna say you could just have the banner be these Nurgle guys just holding like Tzeentch pieces into battle as kind of like a screw you to the Tzeentch Lord.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. Well, the only Tzeentch I got from my even for my demon army is I I have 10 pink cores that I bought like assembled and painted. I have the 3 screamers that I put together, and those don't really come with any extra pieces. And that's pretty much it. Like, I don't have much for Zinch right now, in either case.
Do you have any ideas, Nick, or anyone?
I said earlier, I think, like, just the fly, you know, you can really just take a little piece of paper, and if it interests you, Mitt, you know, do a fly. You can do different shapes with the wings. It's a pretty simple shape, you know, and it can be as detailed or as undetailed as you like, but I think that kind of carries the Nurgle theme pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is a good thing. There's also, I guess, let's see, they have the fly you could do. They also have that, that angel that he, like, spews his plague onto. If you could somehow get, like, a silhouette of that, you could work with that. The fly would
we
be
may
way
be
easier.
going... we may have gone a few steps past my abilities here, fellas. The fly I might be able to pull off, but that would be like the height of my artistic ability.
Spew Angel just transcends your skills.
Yep.
Anything that will attempt to look vaguely human is, yeah, that's not right. Not going to happen for me. I'm borderline believing that my 3-year-old daughter can draw better than I can. So I got to keep it relatively simple. That's kind of why I'm having a little bit of the fly is probably good because like I could break the fly down to kind of like some basic shapes.
Well,
I can do some basic shapes.
Here's basic shapes.
Yeah, they're very basic. They're pretty much like ovals and a couple lines. Just do 6 legs.
Yeah, well, you just start with a thorax. That could be like anything. It could be the shape of like a pill. It could be a teardrop. You know, it's really simple. I'd mess around with that and see what you might surprise yourself, Mitt.
Yeah, I'm with Nick on that.
This is that I'm attempting to test out stuff like that is, so why the hell not? We'll try for a fly then.
Do yourself a favor. Get a pencil. Trace it out first. Then go in with your brush.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah,
practice it a couple times.
You know, my concept is just jump in. Just go for it, man. Just go for it. It's not a good suggestion, but I like to use it.
Well, like I said, it may work for somebody with more innate artistic skill. Mine is 0, so.
But if there's a cool way this guy was showing me, it was Dice Painter guy, and he's on the PMP. I'll try to link the video he sent to me of where he made his own decal, so it's a little bit easier, so you don't have to freehand paint it, and that might be something you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
If you're interested at all.
I also got to start thinking about what I'm going to do for the BSB, because like I've got a model I want to use for it, and I'm just going to put sort of a freestanding banner I have on his base behind him, like he's just kind of standing in front of it. But I have no idea what I'm doing for the actual banner, because it's just one of those empty banners that they have that doesn't have anything hanging down from it. So I got to figure out. I've been looking at. Well, I've been looking at Ash the Banner guy. Like he did a 5-part how-to video on his stuff. So I may get gutsy and try and do something like that. And at least then, if I screw it up, it's paper and.
Yeah, man.
I can do it a bunch of times before doing anything permanent to the models.
Go big or go home, and you only get to Carnegie Hall by practicing.
Right.
That's, I don't know. You might as well. You have nothing to lose.
Yeah. But the problem is... Oh, go ahead, Nick.
That's true with the practice thing. Like, I've been getting a kick out of the different posts of people on the PMP page where, like, Whoopi, you put up your Bretonian horse. I mean, it was just, like, super craptastic. You know, no offense, but what you say, you painted that when you were like 6?
Yeah, I've been playing since I was 6. I went back and I completely followed the history of it. And there was like pictures in 1st grade of me drawing like knights running into orcs with like lances and stuff. And I painted this knight when I was 6, and it's just so bad. It's so bad.
I actually think Alicia started that whole thing with her wood elf that looks like
She
something
did.
I'd paint
I did.
now.
Giant red eyes.
Yeah, that was a very angry wood elf.
Yeah, not coloring between the lines.
You killed Woodsy the Owl, you bastard.
Oh man.
That
Hey,
happens
that's pretty good for
eyeballs a lot. It's hard. Like, if you're going to do eyeballs right, you got to take some time, because it is not hard to have them looking all cross-eyed and weird.
Yeah, especially until you realize that they're not fully round, and you start out with those like big ass fucking caffeine eyes.
See, that's why I do my ogres. They just have like solid red eyes. That's as close as I get to it.
Yeah, you know, I always envied my brother because I first started playing Bretonians, you know. Age 6, I was painting Bretonians. My brother got to paint lizardmen. Like, he would have like 20 skinks done, and I wouldn't even be done with a horse. And I'm like, that's not even fair. So I moved to the bowman, and now I have to do eyeballs. He gets to just dot them red. What the hell?
Of course, I will have to say I hate painting cavalry more than anything else in the game, and I'm not entirely sure why. They just fill me with rage.
All the models are blind.
You got the hearing models,
Yeah.
the monk models, if you will. So, Finsky, how long have you been painting? Because I was pleasantly surprised that you were the one that did the Ice Elf army, because that was one of my favorite ones that I've seen on the Warhammer Weekly.
Oh, well, thanks. I was going to share with you my first painted thing that I painted.
Do it.
As far as
Do it.
tabletop miniature goes. I'm just trying to think here. It actually hasn't been that long. I know that's a relative term, but I started, the very first thing I painted was an Undead Blood Bowl team.
Oh wow! Yes.
Right on.
I thought, upon completion of it, that it was just like pure shit, like absolute rubbish. And my buddy Josh, that got into it, he kind of eased me into tabletop miniature wargaming, if you will. He'd like go over to his house, he'd show me his Space Wolves, and he wasn't a very good painter, but you know, put effort in. And I
So
remember
not to interrupt you here for a sec, but he was kind of your like nerd hobby drug dealer, if you will. Like, he's the one that showed you into the hobby and then like slowly got you addicted to it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I remember after I painted this Blood Bowl team, he was like, "God damn it!" And I was like, "Why are you all pissed, bro?" He's like, "I've been painting for 10 years, and you're like 4 times as good as me." And I myself was like not happy with what I did. I've been painting for, like miniatures, 10 years? Yeah, about 10 years.
That's a pretty substantial time. How long did it take you to? Because I know this is for any of you guys. How long did it take you to get into the full hobby range of it, like including the bases and all that kind of stuff, or magnetizing?
I still don't do any basing. I don't like the way it looks. I'll occasionally, like, my ogres have a little bit of flock over painted bases, but I just like solid color paint my bases, and that's pretty much it. I magnetize the crap out of everything just for ease of play, but I'm not a big flock fan.
The only reason why his ogres have flock is I bought the snow and put them on more than half of them.
Why is there snow on my ogres, Alicia? Because they needed it. I could see that going down. So, anyone else chime in?
I've kind of always gone all in. I mean, maybe that's like the I don't want to say perfectionist, but like nothing's ever done with me. Like things that I finished 5 years ago, I'll still pick up and be like, oh, I could do something to their armor. Like I'm nothing's ever done.
I do that a lot. In fact, I try to not look at my old models because I'll end up like spending 2 hours on a model that I did like 2 years ago trying to make it better. It's like, man, there's so much I could have done. It's like I don't even use this model anymore. I think I sold the rest of the army. What the hell am I doing?
But no, I like the basing. I think it adds good flavor, and it can really tie. It can tie your army together, and I'm not just talking about flock. Multiple things. Like if you've seen my High Elf army, there's quite a bit. At first glance, I know you guys on one of the first Warhammer Weeklies, you made some comment about like margarita salt, and
I don't remember that. What? Shenanigans. I'm calling shenanigans.
I remember that comment.
Shut up, Josh.
At first
I'm gonna let you get out of that.
But like in person, if you look there are many different layers of different like snow effect on the bases, and I think you got to be kind of up close to appreciate it.
I think that works with a lot of nuances in the models in general, because a lot of people have their own styles, and it doesn't translate well over film. And basing is something like that a lot. And I was always one of those people. I was kind of like in between you and Josh. I didn't really like it when people put stagnant rocks on the base, because to me it just seemed a little ridiculous that this rock is moving with them across the battlefield. But realistically, when you look at it as a whole diorama, it really does add something to it. It just makes it pop. It makes it the immersion level like just to 11.
And I can agree. I've seen some of them from other folks that I just look at and I go, that works for them. But for me, it's weird. Like just the painting of the bases is kind of like my capstone. Like that's what makes it feel complete for me. And like I said, it may just be it's one of those things that I never went ahead and did because I just don't have an interest to it. But it's like, I don't know. I see where it works for other people, but I don't really know or care about making it work for me, I guess.
That's funny, Mitt. I never know in all your battle reports. I never even I never noticed that you didn't base your models.
That's the thing. The paint color works. I match the paint on every model, or the base paint, and for purposes of battle reports, it looks good. I mean,
I think moving forward, if you're not gonna flock or base your models, you should make them all Goblin Green, circa like 1993 Citadel.
That actually is what I used to do when in high school. They all used to be Goblin Green with the spray of grass on the top of them. And in fact, I just finished.
See if I can find some old models.
Actually, if you guys want to see that again, Andy 2D6, his whole dwarf army is done like that, with the Goblin Green and the little sprinkle of grass. It actually looks pretty good. It fills me with nostalgia every time I see it.
All right, guys, I am out of here. I'm going to bed.
Yeah, it's about time for me to call it, too. Well, guys, it was awesome to get us all together doing this. I'm totally looking forward to doing it more often, so definitely keep an eye out for further invites, and it's a good way to pass a couple hours and get some shit painted. So,
Indeed, thanks for having me.
No problem, and we will.
So, go ahead. Oh, I don't want to interrupt. Again.
Oh well, we're just about to end the call.
I was just gonna show like the circa 1997. This is a Ironbreaker, and I did a whole unit of like 40 just purely green bases, and that's all I did for any of my like things back then. And one day my brother just got into basing, and I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And so that's kind of what got me into it. Like I said, it was that extra notch.
Yeah. Funny thing is, my empire is actually all, what is it, Caliban green? Like, that's what I use for them. And like, my Chaos Warrior Indians are just Steel Legion drab, because I like the idea of them, like, going across muddy, disgusting, lifeless ground.
Man,
So
I need GW paints. Just straight up.
All right, guys. Well, it is getting a little late, so I think it is a good time to go ahead and call this. Thank you guys for coming and hanging out and chatting with us for a while. Whoopi, Nick, it's been a pleasure.
Always a treat. Thanks.
Yep.
No problem.
Later.